Tonight on the Night Team. A quiet, empty city hall now sits in the middle of a small Hart County, Kentucky town after its own residents voted to dissolve the local government.
Because we weren't getting anything for our taxes.
Tonight, we're hearing from the woman behind dissolving the city of Bonneville. Plus, the leader of Kentucky Republicans announcing the party is taking a step back from school choice, his plans ahead of the legislative session. And later, a trailblazer in her own right, remembered as a pioneer in Kentucky sports.
We wanted to do something for our city.
The legacy of Ellie Brown, right now on the WHAS11 Night Team. A small Kentucky town voted to dissolve their local government. Today is the first day without it. It's our top story here on the Night Team. I'm Alex Dieterer. It's the small town of Bonneville, an hour south of Louisville in Hart County, Kentucky. The woman who spearheaded the movement says the $30 a year she paid to the city of Bonneville wasn't going towards any improvements. WHAS 11 Night Team's Alexandra Goldberg and photojournalist Aspen Hester spoke with the woman who started it all.
The lady in the Flamingo house brought the city down.
Melody Schanneberger lives at the center of Bonneville, a small Hart County, Kentucky town, an hour south of Louisville and with a population of 244.
This town, I don't think is going to be any more than what it is right now. A thrift store, rundown, dilapidated buildings.
In City Hall, once at the center of debate and now shut down, effective December 8th.
Because we weren't getting anything for our taxes. No bang for the buck.
Schanneberger is the woman who led the movement to dissolve the local government. Her slogan, taxes for nothing, though her city tax was $30 a year.
So the amount is nothing to complain about. It's just we weren't seeing anything done.
Her efforts were a success. Bonneville residents voted 67-60 on election day to dissolve into Hart County, wiping out the 6-person city council, mayor, and services like city-operated street lighting. What Schanneberger said was the biggest concern for residents.
Yes, a few street lights did go out. It didn't make that much of a difference. That was still on.
But she wants to get back to the once thriving version of Bonneville that existed from the 1950s until the construction of I-65 was complete, which she says led to a declining city.
We would have had to raise taxes so high that the citizens would have been very upset.
So she actually ran for office in case the petition didn't pass, meaning in her eyes, it was either dissolve the government or be the one to raise the taxes.
And as a council member, I would upset many more because I would just give it to them with the taxes.
She says the mayor is in opposition, and Mayor Marie Whitlow previously told WHAS 11 that she believes new residents are trying to avoid paying taxes. Hart County will officially take the keys on Monday. In Bonneville, Alexandra Goldberg, WHAS 11 Night Team, on your side.
With the failure of Amendment 2, Kentucky Senate President Robert Stivers says his party is now moving away from school choice. Stivers says they'll now be taking a closer look at Kentucky's public school system. The Republican leader pointed to a 9% boost they gave to the public education funding model. He says they'll be looking to make sure they get their dollar's worth.
Last year, which would allow for additional capital construction, additional pay raises, substantial pay raises, for the faculty and administration. And so it's going to be a system that we want to look at to see how we can get better outcomes.
Now, it's important to note superintendents we spoke with when the budget was passed told us the money provided is not nearly enough to provide the raises they're requesting. In order to compete with starting salaries in Tennessee and Indiana, Hardin County schools would need to bump salaries more than 9%. At most, they'd reach 4% with incoming state funding alone. Other counties, it's even less. Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear has been elected as the vice chair of the Democratic Governors Association, a position that will make him chair of the board in 2026. The board elected current chair Kansas Governor Laura Kelly to continue serving as the chair in 2025. Kelly started as vice chair before taking over as chair when Minnesota Governor Tim Walz joined Harris to run as VP. After being in power for decades, Syrian President Bashar al-Assad and his family have fled the country. Russian media are reporting they're now in Moscow and the Kremlin will offer them asylum. It follows a tumultuous couple of weeks where rebel forces rapidly took parts of Syria before closing in on the capital. ABC's Allison Cossack has the details.
Joy in the streets as Syrians celebrate the fall of Bashar al-Assad, a coalition of rebel groups seizing the capital Damascus after they swept across the country in a lightning offensive that began 11 days ago, ending the Assad family regime, which held power since 1971. Syrian rebel commander Abu Muhammad al-Jolani greeted by cheering crowds as he entered Damascus's historic mosque. Inside, describing the victory as a turning point for the region. Tonight, President Biden calling the collapse a fundamental act of justice after decades of repression.
It's a moment of historic opportunity for the long-suffering people of Syria to build a better future for their proud country. It's also a moment of risk and uncertainty. As we all turn to the question of what comes next,
the president urging groups on the ground to prove their commitment to Syrian rights, rule of law, and protection. Russian state media reporting the Assad family is now in Moscow and the Kremlin will offer them asylum. Bashar al-Assad held power for 24 years, overseeing the crushing of the revolution against his regime through nearly 14 years of civil war. His government supported by Iran, Russia, and Hezbollah, but he never completely regained control of northern Syria, and Turkey quietly supported the mix of Islamist rebel groups vying for power. One of those groups that emerged was Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, also known as HTS, an offshoot with previous links to al-Qaeda. And with wars in Ukraine, Gaza, and Lebanon distracting Assad's allies, it, along with others, took action. Allison Cossack, ABC News, New York.
The nationwide manhunt for the person accused of shooting United Healthcare CEO continues tonight. NYPD believe they are closer to identifying the suspect. Tonight, NYPD released these new images of the suspect, showing him getting into what appears to be a taxi. Detectives are carefully tracking the suspect's movement after the killing of CEO Brian Thompson. The suspect fled the scene Wednesday on foot, then is seen entering Central Park on a bike. 45 minutes after the shooting, the suspect was gone. Police say they saw him on video near a bus station by the George Washington Bridge, where they think he boarded a bus and left the city.
That's really quick. We have him on a bus out of Upper Manhattan. If he takes it to any different spot and gets on another bus, that has to be tracked as well.
The net is tightening, and we're going to bring this person to justice.
Meanwhile, dive teams are now searching the pond in Central Park, looking for the murder weapon and the bicycle the suspect was seen riding. The pond is near the spot investigators recovered what they believe to be is the suspect's backpack. Sources tell ABC News the backpack contained a Tommy Hilfiger jacket and Monopoly money, a possible sign the suspect is trying to taunt law enforcement. And we're learning new details about a fatal crash on the Bluegrass Parkway in Hardin County yesterday. Deputies say they responded to the crash just after 5 p.m. The sheriff's office says Shirley Fuqua was traveling east when her car hit another car and caused it to lose control. The car then crossed the median and went airborne, hitting Leslie and William Parsons' car, causing it to crash into another in the westbound lanes. Shirley Fuqua and Leslie and William Parson were all pronounced dead at the scene. The drivers of the other two cars involved were injured but are expected to survive. And we're joined now by meteorologist Sam Gabrielli. Sam, that rain is coming down, and there's no surprise it's staying rain with those temperatures that we had earlier today.
Yeah, that's right. Plenty of warm air underway so far for being in early to mid-December, so no snow and no freezing rain in the forecast. All this falling in the form of some steady liquid water, rainfall coming down from the sky. We're going to be ultimately seeing about a ½ inch to an inch of rain tonight going into the morning hours tomorrow. Some pretty nice weather, of course, to get some good sleep tonight with with this rainfall coming down. Here's actually a look to the north, actually right over Metro Louisville, over New Albany, and towards the Knobs, even towards Corydon. We are picking up some pretty decent bands, mainly sticking just west of Louisville. So some of this activity may get a little heavier throughout the course of the night tonight. Some of the heaviest bands of rain still across our western spots, mainly west of Interstate 65, but we are still seeing the rainfall inch into our area from west to east. And notice by midnight and beyond, it's going to be making for a rainy setup. Now I'm going to guide everybody through Futurecast Alex in a few minutes. I'll let you know if it'll mainly be affecting much of the day on Monday. The full forecast straight ahead.
All right, thank you, Sam. And due to the heavy rains, MSD is warning of potential sewer overflows. They say water-containing sewage may be discharged from sewers during the rain and into drainage ditches or nearby streams. While it's raining, they're asking you to avoid fishing, wading, or swimming in the Ohio River, creeks, streams, and drainage ditches. If you come in contact with any of these, MSD advises to wash with warm, soapy water, especially before handling food.
Well, I hope they know that in all sincerity, we wanted to do something for our city, this wonderful place to live. And I hope as they look at all the banners to feel that these are people who really made the city a better place.
Ellie Brown speaking to WHAS11 in May at the unveiling of her and her former husband's Hometown Heroes banner in downtown Louisville. The first wife of former Kentucky Governor John Y. Brown II and trailblazer herself, Ellie Brown, has died at 84. The late governor and Ellie funded Actors Theater, helped save the downtown YMCA, and were instrumental in the development of the Kentucky Center for the Arts and the Ali Center. Ellie played an instrumental role in bringing the Kentucky Colonels into the hearts of the Louisville community. She was the first chairwoman of the board of the Kentucky Colonels ABA team and was part of an all-female ownership board. Ellie and John Y. Brown were inducted into the Kentucky Athletic Hall of Fame in 1998. Ellie leaves behind 3 children, including John Y. Brown III. The former Kentucky Secretary of State shared this tribute to his mother, quote, "She was such a pioneer and trailblazer, but never saw herself as that. Just doing what the guys tried to do and doing it more passionately and creatively and a heck of a lot better. Her greatest legacy was being a great mother and grandmother. Nothing meant more to her than that."